And welcome in, everyone, to Donovan and Dino, presented by Master Pizza on this Thursday night, along with Jimmy Donovan. I'm Dave DeNatale. We're, as always, brought to you by Master Pizza. Remember, get that Master Pizza app on your smartphone. Start earning pizza points today from our friends at Master Pizza. Taste above all. Mr. Donovan, this early in a football season, I sit there and go, God, every game's a must-win for the Cleveland Browns, this, that, and the other thing. But Sunday is very important for this team, not the least of which is they're going into a bye week. But I think for their overall just well-being, they've got to find a way Sunday to conquer a very good Seattle Seahawks team.
Yeah, and I think there was a feeling of that in the locker room today, and it was through people like Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry, who were very frank in their sessions with the media today and said that it's been very disappointing as to the way that they have gone, and that we're at a point, I think OBJ said, we're at a fork in the road, that the season can go one way or the other, and you definitely want it to go to the right direction. And even though this franchise has been used to being 1-4 or 0-5 at this point, this is different. This is a much better team that is expected to do well. So those were his thoughts. And Jarvis Landry kind of built on that a little bit, and he also said, you know what, we're at a point where maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. And we have to kind of improve, and we're going to have to improve and be very, very good to reach the levels that we all kind of really bought into, that we were going to be a very, very special football team. So that's a reality check, I think, to the team that just keeps saying, I think it's wrong to keep saying, it's early, don't worry, it's early. It can get away from you very quickly, and I think we're at that line. We're at that ledge, where you can fall over and get yourself into such a hole that you can't get out of it.
Because everybody, it's easy to play, as we always do, play the schedule game, and people look at everything after New England, after that first game out off the bye week, and, the Browns could win that game, and they could win that game, and they'd be favored in that game. But, boy, oh boy, if you're 2-4 going into the bye, and let's just say you lose to the Patriots, then you're 2-5. I mean, now your margin for error is razor thin, and every loss puts you that much closer to being knocked out of the playoff picture in November, let's say. And then you're really up a creek.
Yeah, and what the Browns need right now, probably the healthiest thing for them right now would be to play some division games.
Yes.
But they've played well in the one, okay? They won the one that they were in, and that was the Baltimore game. But, down the road, that's when they'll get a crack at the Steelers, and they'll get a crack at Cincinnati, and they'll get another shot at Baltimore, and that one will be home. And I think that's right at the end of the year, if not the end of the year. So that would be great, to get into the division, because that's a dual purpose. You help yourself in the overall win column, but also you help yourself inside the division. And the division is very winnable, I think, for the Browns this year, because right now it's a two-team race between the Browns and the Ravens, and the Browns have knocked off Baltimore. But to get there, they have tough opponents that we knew this was going to be the road that they're going to travel down. We just expected them to take care of some business in front of these games and not be in this kind of situation. But they are, and they have to come out, and I think they realize top to bottom they have to play better, because that was a complete systems failure on Monday night, and it's going to have to change.
Yeah, and you have another NFC West opponent coming in this weekend in the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll's got them playing really well, and he's got Russell Wilson playing really well, because it's a good year to have him on your fantasy team, as I do. None of that really matters for anybody else, but just
he'll be happy to hear
that. But offensively, they're putting up a lot of points. To go with, you always, when you play a Pete Carroll team, you always know you're going to have to face a tough defense. But, Wilson's ability to move the ball down the field this year and put points up, it's like adding an extra dimension to what's already a good team.
Yeah, it really is. He's playing just off the charts good. He's the best quarterback in the league right now. He's even playing at a higher level than Tom Brady, and he's 73% completion, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. They've cut down on their sacks. The amazing thing about him, and you'll see it, it will be on display at FirstEnergy Stadium on Sunday, is that you have to play him a different way. You surround him and he keeps plays going. But it's different than the old Ben Roethlisberger where he extended plays. And he could, extend the play so well. But that was from the pocket and with you hanging on him because he was so darn big. This guy runs around a great deal, but can stay behind the line of scrimmage, or he can take off and run, okay? And he knows how to slide because he was a great baseball player.
Yes.
And he knows when to slide. And he's he's a survival guy. I mean, he knows how to play the game and keep himself from really getting tagged. But the dangerous part of him is that you can think you have him, and then he can just slip away from you and then turn a broken play into a big play, and his receivers realize you never give up on the play with him. So they can run their route, and you can cover it perfectly. But once he starts running around, it's hard to cover those guys for that long. I mean, you look at his receivers right now, they're all like sixth, and other than DK Metcalf. They're all like fifth, sixth, seventh round draft choices. But the way he makes them look, I mean, their tight end, Disley, he was a defensive end in college at Washington from Bozeman, Montana, and now he's a big-time tight end. But it's because the quarterback facilitates them and makes them, he just tells them, stay alive, get open, because I'll find you, and he does.
You mentioned DK Metcalf, and I remember talking to Eric Metcalf at the Sports Awards, and the feeling was, are they related, the former Browns running back? And he's like, no, we're not related. He goes, I wish we were. But DK Metcalf, he had a big game for them on Thursday night last week.
Caught a 40-yard touchdown.
And now all of a sudden, that's adding another dimension because, I remember looking at him before the Browns traded for Beckham as a potential guy that the Browns might look at in the draft because of his size and his ability. And, all of a sudden, again, as you say, you add him to what's really, gone are the days of the big play receivers for Seattle, but they're perfect in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, Baldwin's gone, and, Golden Tate when he was there, he's gone, and, Jimmy Graham was there, and he's gone. You're right, and but the basic fundamental, and if you were with us last night, we go back to what the great Paul Warfield told us on our radio show. There's a fruit fly here, I'll tell you.
Fan of the show.
But anyway, it's still, in regards to Seattle, Dino, it is predicated on the run.
Yes.
I mean, they are a physically big, their running back is big. This kid Carson is really big. They really run the ball rugged. And so you say, well, what were they when they were great? Well, it was Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
And he's a big physical running back. This guy doesn't have the pedigree of Marshawn Lynch, but he's a big physical back. He will remind you a little bit of Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb would be a perfect player for Pete Carroll. No, I don't want him to go there. No. But I would think that Pete Carroll at some point on Sunday would look over and say, man, that guy could play for me.
Yes.
And really flourish in this system. They are, and really the pass will come off of that, but they are run first. There's no doubt about it. They do a great deal of work in establishing the run.
So almost what you're saying, forget Landry and Beckham, but the Browns maybe ought to do themselves a favor and watch the Seattle offense as a model of what they could be, and what Baker Mayfield could be, with Seattle. You're not imitating, but it's the quarterback's ability. Baker, we talked about when he was great last year, he had the ability to slide around the pocket and keep plays alive and make throws on the run when he had to. Which you sound like with what Wilson does. It's a different. It's not exactly the same, but you run to set up the throw.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the Browns really have to go in that order on Sunday and should do it on most Sundays. I mean, they really should. They should really. That guy is going to establish the game plan for you, and that guy being Nick Chubb. And too many times the Browns come out flinging it. Even last Monday. And everything went wrong, in San Francisco. But even last Monday, they come out and they're throwing it all around. And, Chubb, I think, can get you stabilized and keep you. And the other thing the Browns need to do, they need to possess the ball.
Yes.
They only had 49 snaps in the game last Monday. They couldn't get the ball. I think San Francisco was way over 70 in the game. I mean,
it felt like it.
The Browns had, I think they might have had 6 snaps in the third quarter. 2 3-and-outs.
2 3-and-outs.
Yeah, and it's just, it was bad. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Incidentally, today, very interesting sessions with the coordinators. Steve Wilkes came out and said that he totally blew it.
Wow.
He totally took, he went in with the wrong idea, the wrong alignments. He had players in the wrong spot, thus the 83-yard touchdown run on the first play. He had his team playing slow when they needed to play fast. I mean, he really was, his chin was scraping the ground. At least, he owned it. He said that he will never do that again. And he takes full responsibility for the poor alignment of the Browns defense in the game on Monday night. Todd Monken, on the other hand, said that the interception off the hands of Callaway was catastrophic. That it was completely catastrophic. Should have been caught. Wasn't a bad throw. Was one of the most decisive throws that Mayfield made. It was perfect. He dropped back. He saw it. He went there, and Callaway should have caught the ball. He also, said early in the game, the Browns are getting themselves in stupid penalty trouble.
Still a lot of pre-snap penalties,
stuff,
Jim.
Not getting lined up. Right tackle, he named the right tackle. It was Chris Hubbard. Blew a play early in the game that they got in trouble on. It was really an eye-opening thing all afternoon long with the coordinators, which tells me maybe that business is going well out there this week.
Which is a good thing. Bo agrees with you here. He says the Browns need to stop trying to get the big play all the time. Establish the run like they did with the Ravens. And it's almost like they're impatient, and
I think they are.
Not just Baker, but Freddie too. It's like, I've got all these weapons, I've got all this offense. Let me just let it rip instead of just letting it happen in the natural flow of the game.
Yeah, I think Freddie even admitted today that he put too much into the game plan. He added too much into the game plan. I mean, suddenly you've got Beckham throwing passes. There's a time and a place for that.
Sure.
But we're not there yet. I mean, there was a time and a place for that last year when you were playing the Bengals late in the year at the stadium, and you had Landry throwing the pass to Perriman and things like that. There was a time and a place when they had Atlanta on the run or Carolina on the run. They went into like that full house backfield where they had all the backs on the field at the same time. But right now, I think that they really have to. They have to kind of, I don't want to say dumb it down in a slang way, but they really have to kind of streamline that playbook a little bit and get things that they know are going to be confidence builders and productive plays, and stop being behind the chains so much. Really, you got to get away from these 2nd and 13s or 1st and 15s.
Because then you take Chubb, because a lot of times you take your biggest weapon, your stabilizer, Chubb, you almost take him out of the mix then, because you're asking, let's say if he gets 4 yards on 1st and 15, it's still 2nd and 11, and now you're not going to probably run to him again. Now you're throwing it, and you're putting your quarterback at risk because the defense can pin their ears back. I'll be fascinated with that thought in mind. The offensive line, after a terrible week in San Francisco, adjustments that may be made, and how they play against Seattle on Sunday to protect Mayfield.
Once again, it's a good front. I mean, they went out. They got Jadeveon Clowney coming over from Houston. They got Ziggy Ansah. They brought him over. So those are the two. Those are the two rushers. They have they have quick, athletic linebackers, and it's 3 of them, and the 3 of them play basically the whole way. And one of them is the guy we had, Michael Kendricks, who is still not in prison. How
does that work?
I mean, he has had his sentence or the sentencing hearing pushed back now 3 times, I believe. And now the next court date is November 21st, but that could get pushed back. Now, remember, he was involved in inside trading.
Yes.
He has, pleaded guilty in the case, and he's looking at a prison sentence of some time that is going to be spent, but he is not. And remember, the Browns got rid of him right away as soon as it became official that he was being indicted and that he was going to have to plead guilty in the case. They cut ties with him. But Seattle took him, and he has played a lot. He played all of last year for them, and he's playing well right now. But they also have Bobby Wagner, and they have KJ Wright. 3 really athletic linebackers.
I remember you told me that was one of the things that the Browns last year, different regime, but Greg Williams had really designed some stuff to favor Kendricks, to give him an opportunity to make plays, because they had seen what he did in Philadelphia, during their run at the Super Bowl, and it's like, wow, if you don't have to start him, but if you give him an opportunity, he can be a playmaker in certain situations, and they had designed things for him, and then the next thing you know, I think we all watch Hard Knocks, and he's not on the team anymore.
Well, there's that amazing moment, one of the all-time Todd Haley moments, and there were precious few of them here in Cleveland,
Yes.
only because of the amount of time he was here. But there's a moment where they start the episode with the TV report that Michael Kendricks has been indicted by the federal government for insider training, and Todd Haley is in John Dorsey's office and goes, "So is he going to prison?"
That's all I needed to say.
I mean, that's Todd Haley.
That's Todd Haley in a
Todd
nutshell.
Haley, the very understated Todd Haley. But this guy's playing. I mean, he's playing well. He really is. But you're right. Greg Williams was very, very, very sad about losing Kendricks because they did have a lot of things designed for him going in. That's the way it is. It's a good defense. It's not the San Francisco front, but it's an interesting front.
Gut feeling about Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, Rashard Higgins for Sunday.
Well, Higgins, I think it's safe to say he fully participated again today, and he fully participated yesterday. But yesterday was a lighter practice than you would typically get from them on a Wednesday. So he's put 2 good days together. And as Freddie keeps putting it, it's always the day after you worry about.
Yeah.
So he went full go today. How's he going to feel tomorrow?
Right.
And then how's he going to feel Saturday? As they kind of taper down. I would say there's a green light there that he would probably, have a better opportunity going into this week. Some would say, well, if they don't play him this week, or if it's not 100%, why not hold him back and get the week off and then have him for the Patriots game? I think they would like to have him.
I think Baker would, certainly.
As far as the 2 cornerbacks, I think leaning towards go.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mitchell and Carey have done a pretty good job.
I don't think that's been the problem.
That's not been there's not been a sizable drop off.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
So I think that that can only help them, especially. One thing that would really help is to get that pass rush going, and not just Myles Garrett, but other guys on that defense on Sunday, and get Russell Wilson running around a little bit.
Yeah, this will be a difficult guy to sack because he likes to operate outside the pocket, and he's pretty good in the pocket, but he's one of these guys, he's not a tall guy.
Right.
And so he searches for his throwing lanes, and sometimes they are outside the pocket, either side. But he's super quick, and he's very, very elusive, and he's incredibly smart. And here's the other thing. Incidentally, his record, he's up close to 80 wins, 78, 79 wins as the starting quarterback for the Seahawks. And here's a couple of other numbers. On the road, they're like 30, 19, and 1 in recent times. So they're really good on the road. Yeah. And for people like Tony Grossi, they keep saying, but they don't play well off of Pacific Coast time when they have to play Eastern time. They're 12-6.
That would be a Grossi statistic.
So, he is my original point would be he's been in this system now.
Yes.
And see, this is the thing. He's been in this system, and he's flourishing in it. And once they get in it, he's really his own offensive coordinator.
Right.
But Brian Schottenheimer is Marty's son is their coordinator.
But it's like he and Pete Carroll. It's not, you get the feeling it's like Brady and Belichick. It's a head coach, quarterback, and let's go. And you kind of feel like that's what they've done, or Sean Payton, Drew Brees. You have this long-term partnership.
Yeah, and Dino, they have gone through an evolution. Okay, they had the Super Bowl team, and they had the Legion of Boom.
Yep.
Okay, and they had Michael Bennett, and they were built on defense.
Yes.
And then they score whatever they could get. Okay, they possessed the ball, and they hoped he made some plays, but they were really good defensively. But then they paid him, Russell Wilson, and then that was at the expense of some of these guys like Richard Sherman. And Earl Thomas and these kind of guys, and Michael Bennett and these guys that left the team because they couldn't pay them. And there was a little rub. Those guys were, upset that they paid Russell Wilson. But now, I really feel probably even more so than when they won the Super Bowl, this is Russell Wilson's team now. It's his team.
Yeah,
it really is.
Be interesting to watch him Sunday and what the Browns defense can do against him because he's playing at a really high level right now. And can Baker and the Browns match it? This This is what you. But this is again, Jimmy. It's middle of October now. You want relevant games. You want games that matter. And
right.
I mean, you want for those somebody had messaged that they're going to FirstEnergy Stadium Sunday. These are the types of games you want.
Yeah, and let's face it too. The Browns have to start winning at home.
Yeah.
You should win at home. Okay, you should win at home, no matter what time they kick the game off.
Yep.
You should be able to win at home. You should have a distinct advantage at home.
Yep.
They have not capitalized on that in the first 2 games, other than the first drive on opening day against Tennessee. Yeah. And I really thought they were swimming upstream the whole game against the Rams.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
Especially offensively.
Yeah.
I think defensively they performed heroically against the Rams, considering that the whole secondary was hurt. But they have to let that crowd get into the game.
And feed off of it.
And feed off of it, right. And give them something to feed off of. And I think that's important Sunday.
But you don't necessarily have to throw an 80-yard bomb on the first play from scrimmage either.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Nick Chubb early, Nick Chubb often. That's the Donovan and Dino prescription for the Browns on Sunday. All right, my friend, I will talk to you Monday morning on After Further Review, after hopefully a Browns win. We'll talk to everybody then. Have a great night. Jimmy's back with you on What's Next at 11, and then I'll talk to you tomorrow during high school football. Benedictine NDCL tomorrow night.
All right.
Yeah,
the
looking
Bengals,
forward to
home
that.
of champions.
Yeah, that's right. Bengals and the Lions tomorrow. It's like a charity game reunion. So we'll talk to everybody then. It's Donovan and Dino, presented by Master Pizza. Thanks for watching, everyone, here on 3 News, Facebook Live, and YouTube.